Anyway, I've got to run. Janice just gave me this sign, which means you guys mean nothing now, Janice.
Compared to Janice, we are nothing.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, you
Talk
to
to you
give Janice our best.
will do.
Thank you for coming on. We all right. Thank God. Thank God. All right, we're gonna switch over to Discord now because Skype is fucking atrocious, and only idiots use Skype. Idiots and crazy people. Crazy.
And we're back. PKA 493. So that was a thing.
That was a thing. So we all whenever
Anybody
we have
else stressed out?
Yeah.
so stressed.
Dude, I lost my
What's
appetite
happening?
even before the show. Before the show started, I was like, I'm hitting like, Taylor, please do your research on this guy. Like I last night on my live stream, I'm like, I was worried I'd be able to interview him well. I knew he'd be tough. I knew he'd be hard. I think we did all right. Getting him to tell his side of the Belize murder story was as great as you could do.
You're welcome.
I think we did a good
Because
job. but also,
because there
I don't
is no
think
interviewing him. There's
Yeah,
no
I don't-
interviewing. He is like a boulder made of horse shit that you have to get rolling down a hill. Once it's rolling, you don't try to get between the horse shit and gravity. You just let it flow. You just let it flow. That guy has damaged his brain so severely. If you look, so we all do our research when we had these guests. I think it was clear last week when each of us had lots of background on our guest, and we knew the right questions to ask to get the best responses. I felt like we all did a very good job last week. This week, I think we were equally prepared. The only thing that I wanted to ask that I didn't was the fact that he met his wife, and she was a prostitute who propositioned him.
I wrote that down too. Yeah.
I didn't want. She seems so sweet. I didn't want to be like, so she's a whore, huh? I didn't want to do that.
If I had hours with him, I did. I wanted to. He said that he hasn't paid taxes since 2010, and he's the FBI's #1 target. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to interrupt the murder story to talk about taxes. This is a good opportunity to shut the fuck up. Let's take it. And
We were maybe 40 seconds into the pre-show when I joined, when I'm like, oh, this list of topics and questions for him is absolutely useless. There is no way that he's going to, like Kyle's saying, we did our research on this guy. We did, but I don't think any of our questions had any bearing whatsoever on what he's talking about.
No,
I had 3 topics written down. Favorite drugs, which you hit anyway. The murder in South America, which Kyle hit. And I guess he knew Jeffrey Epstein, but that wasn't on his Wikipedia page. It was from my Twitch chat. So it wasn't a top priority for me because, the Twitch chat tells me the 76ers are injured every night. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah, I learned that Joe Rogan dies all the time.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's died. Yeah,
I had a lot of topics and questions, but like he was like in the pre-show, Taylor was like literally 2 minutes late. Not late to the show, but like late to like when McAfee got here.
The call was 2 minutes old.
Yeah, the call was 2 minutes old. He wasn't late, but McAfee was actually early. That's what happened. And in that period of time, McAfee had challenged me to a duel. And he was like, I was like, well, I think I actually challenged him to the duel. He brought up a duel, and I was like, well, yeah.
For some reason, he thought I was the smartest one on the call. I'm pretty sure it's because I need glasses.
He was like, well, I'm going to have a leather slip band holster and a Glock 17. And you have to use a button down
snapback
cowboy
snapcap holster with a 1911. And I'm just like, well, what? That's not how duels work. We use the same weapon. You get to pick the weapon type.
I'll tell you what.
Each of our setups.
He challenged us collectively to both a weed smoking competition and a duel. I don't think John did his research. He doesn't know who he's fucking with, Kyle.
I could beat John in the weed smoking contest and then kill him in the duel right after.
Yeah, the duel is really where he missed the mark. Like, you probably should know you're tremendous with a gun. And he seems, actually, he's the kind of guy who might be pretty fucking good with a gun and you don't know.
Oh, I know he's very good with a gun. If you look at his history, every time he's arrested, it's like DUI, and possession of a firearm while intoxicated. There's always a gun involved with each of his charges. It's like international water with high caliber weapons. So, wait, what?
Yeah,
he's clearly brain damaged. Honestly, like he said he was in South America making all natural antibiotics. I think we know what his laboratory was really cranking out in Belize, right? Like that.
Something else, yeah. I read his Wikipedia, and I'm not sure everyone will take from it the same thing that I did at the pre-McAfee stuff. This guy wasn't just a computer programmer. He was like God's gift to computer programming. His resume, like a top guy at Xerox when Xerox was the king of computing at the time. Then he moved to NASA and Lockheed Martin, and he got a copy of a virus and decided to invent antivirus. McAfee antivirus was not a bullshit thing you wish didn't come with your computer back in the 70s or 80s. It was the only antivirus around.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, his list of accomplishments are he invented one of the very first IM programs, like
Powwow or
something like that.
Powwow.
That's what I thought this interview was going to be like. So like, wow, Powwow. How did you come up with the idea for instant messaging over the computer? I mean, today we're on one of the leading programs that do that today. Skype.
Kyle,
right?
when did you think that's maybe not what the interview is going to be?
45 seconds after he joined the fucking phone call, and I realized he wasn't just doing a bit. Like I thought at first that he was being goofy and silly with us. But he said like 3 times, he's like, you should have been recording this. And then he went on one of the, like, you guys got to hear like 45 minutes of him ranting. He ranted from the moment he joined the call, and we told him we weren't recording. Before the show starts, right? I look at everybody's cameras. I try to make our heads roughly the same size. I try to get everything right. John McAfee doing all this shit, right? He's moving around. He's got the McAfee dance cooking, and I'm like, well, fuck that. We're gonna get what you get on this. We're going wide on McAfee. Go wide on McAfee.
You couldn't. His head was cut off a lot, but his head was cut off on the feed. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
See, like, it was maybe, you're right. I didn't know because we were on Skype, and Skype's changed that I had to click into the call. I was still waiting for it, and I get a text from Kyle a few minutes before we're slated to start, and it just says, hurry up, get in here. He's on a weird manic rant. And it's like, I hop in there, and yeah, I didn't know if he was 100% sure we weren't recording yet.
He expected us.
Like we did later.
We made sure he knew, and we explained it, and then he insulted us a few times.
Yes, yeah. So before the show, we talk for a few minutes, maybe set him up for success, and we don't record that. We've never recorded that. If someone's like, it's pretty rare if someone says something that they wouldn't want to get out, but it never happens. And he's like, you're missing out because this is gold, and I was like, yeah, but we don't do that,
Yeah, we're not ready. And he's like, what are we waiting on? I'm like, the third guy. Fuck him, let's go.
That's about how.
I'm like, no, he's pretty good. We want him here. He's on the way.
3/3 of the show generally,
Jesus Christ.
You know what? I like him.
Yes.
That was an interesting guy, but
I didn't like him.
No.
It was halfway into his stories.
I liked him as a guest.
I have no idea what's happening. Yeah, I mean, I like him as a guest, of course.
Yeah.
I don't like him as a human being. I couldn't stand to be in a room with him because I'll tell you what he reminds me of. If you've ever been around someone who's really drunk and you're really sober and you just wish they'd shut the fuck up, you're like tired of their silly Billy nonsense. Like he was like that. And maybe that was because he was actually drunk, because he actually has finished off a bottle of Jameson today. Or maybe that's all a big act. All I saw was a big empty bottle of Jameson. We've sat here and put away, we've sat here and put bottles away, and we weren't that goofy. I made fun of a crippled man, but I didn't rock back and forth and talk about God being a trisexual.
Who was
Riley?
The man? Oh, he's not, okay.
Yeah, had a little full.
It felt like his mouth.
I like Riley.
Speed that he couldn't.
I like Riley too. I apologized. That's the only thing I've ever apologized for saying on the show, and I've said some horrific things. The only thing I've ever apologized for, and will ever apologize for, fuckers. was making fun of that man after he injured his spine because I was just so drunk.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad he can walk.
Yeah.
Of course, it makes it hard to get in with Elena now.
I was liking how many different times he'd be like, and God comes down, he's sitting there, and it comes down to two things. A, God is a woman. B, God is a man. 3, God could be and it's like, wait, what? You just said there's 2 possible options, and now we're into A, B, C, D, and that reminds me of Belize, and they shot my dog, and I had, and like it was so.
You need a $5,000 scale to understand the shit I'm talking. Then you'll know.
Dude, that drug sounds like a punishment the way he described it.
Yeah,
Tactile and auditory hallucinations at the bank. You're not selling.
I was buying. I was buying what he was selling. I'm like, wait a minute. So tactile, you can feel your dick getting sucked, and his dick's 9 feet long, and it's getting sucked, and he's ready to go. And
He described that as if he was calmly, stoically standing there at the counter at Bank of America. I guarantee he was a fucking loon. Doing something
and you
there
couldn't.
as the poor clerk, the teller, is trying to figure out if he wants to deposit.
He
or
was
withdraw.
he was just a stream of insane consciousness. So I couldn't even slip jokes in. When he was telling that joke about getting his dick sucked, I want to be like, and that's why he's not allowed at Bank of America anymore. But no, you can't, because he's just gonna keep flowing right into the next nonsense.
Yeah.
thing.
Like,
I had some
would
material
start
around
off-
God as a she-male, and I was like, oh, it's sometimes you seize the opportunity to be quiet.
It was that old Skype thing where it's like, he tramples over you 3 different times in a row, and then you decide, like, I'm getting this question out. And you get like 22 words into it, and he's still talking, and you're like, this isn't going to happen. He has no interest in listening, let alone answering what question I'm trying to pose to him. Right now.
And
You know what's really
Kyle's-
interesting? He had nothing to promote.
Yeah.
Why was he here?
Yeah, Kyle distracted me. Kyle said he was manic and a crazy person ranting to me. I also think he's a crazy genius.
Yeah.
And that if I had more time, we could have gotten some nuggets of genius to fall through, to come out. This guy was an actual genius,
I
right?
agree with you.
He
Really
was an
agree.
actual genius person, someone as smart as I could ever dream of being. And then since then, he's discovered drugs and hit his mid-70s and stuff like that. But I still feel like there's nuggets of interesting stuff in there, ideas that are unique and he came up with on his own.
He genuinely does look tremendous for a 74-year-old man who is.
He really does.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks 50 something,
Mm-hmm.
and he's at 74, man. And I really do have more gray in my beard than he does. Like he has
like
2 things
doesn't-
here, and that's it.
I like that he doesn't seem to really, or what did he called us bitches for not experimenting with heroin?
Yes.
That is the level of alpha I don't think any of us were prepared for. You guys haven't tried heroin? It's like, shit, I've never felt bad about it before. Well, where was he?
It's
Country. Do
His
we know?
doesn't say.
Wikipedia says he's in America. His Wikipedia says he's in America, and then he went.
in Lexington, Tennessee, I think.
But I think he's hiding on a yacht or something, and he didn't want to say where he was.
If it isn't America, we should let people know we started recording at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. Just so you know, like this is the earliest we've ever we moved the show both weeks in a row. Last week it was like an hour or 2 early because our guest obviously was in the UK, but I have no idea where this man is. But it required a 3 p.m. Eastern start time.
And Skype.
I like to imagine that he's on the East Coast. He just wanted to do it then.
Yeah,
That was the whole
what it
thing.
Probably is. He's like, no, I don't want to do it then. Something to promote? No, I'm worth $50 million or whatever. Fuck.
Oh, he's not. He used to be worth
4
100 million, but now it's more like 3, 4.
Yeah, his Wikipedia page said he lost 96 million of his 100 million net worth. But Wikipedia, you
08,
don't.
right?
Yeah, during that economic downturn, and but I don't know how it's gone since then or what other. It would surprise me to learn.
He had nothing to promote.
Yeah, I was going to say it would surprise me to learn that guy's pulling off
Optic Hex
successful.
comes on here and he's got a whole bunch of businesses booming to promote.
Yeah.
John McAfee comes on and he just rants about titties and drugs, and then he's like, "Well, time to go." Oh, okay, I thought for sure that you'd written some sort of new program, or there was a nootropics business, or maybe some
He's
sort
not
of
running any
vitamin
businesses
company.
right now. That's what
No.
I was trying to get out. He's not getting anything going. We can't.
I thought he was kind of joking a little bit very early in the show where he's like, I'm 2 bottles of Jameson in, but fucking Janice better bring me my 1/4 of gin and tonic or whatever it was, my mojito.
Mojito.
And it was like maybe 15 minutes later, he's like, where the fuck is Janice with the mojito? It's like he was actually upset not getting his mojito.
Yeah, no, he told her to go get one, I think just before you got on the pre-show call.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I knew that was real.
I was like, what's wrong? You getting the shakes?
Favor. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. You know, like I hope people enjoyed that. I was very uncomfortable throughout the whole thing, and just sort of I felt like I was on some sort of a roller coaster ride that like I can't get off. I thought I was gonna like this ride, but now it's just really bumpy and I'm getting a little nauseous.
Answer
We'll
me
just
this.
ride it out.
Have you ever felt more like, what do I do on this show?
No.
Than that? Because I usually feel like I put a lot of time in researching guests, coming up with questions, and I tried to do that as much as I could, but like he is a riddle wrapped in an enigma, that guy. There is no way to know what's going to send him on a 15-minute rant about very little.
Taylor, I was so stressed headed into this. For 2 days now, I've been worried about how to do a good job interviewing John McAfee. I had George Foreman chicken, rice, and mixed vegetables, and I gave it back to Jackie. I'm like, what is this? No, I don't want this. I eat this twice a day for years. I lost my appetite over this interview.
I wasn't like that, but I just felt like I wanted to be prepared for it. I wanted to like know more about the guy. And I really thought that we were going to be interviewing some sort of business magnate who's got a kooky side.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that it'd be like, oh man, he's going to talk about silly fetish stuff, and then he's going to drop some knowledge about how blockchain works, and he's this hyper genius. But yeah, it was a lot more the
hyper genius part was hard to get into. That diamond is encrusted in dirt.
Yeah, so I hope people enjoyed that. You know, we've been trying to get him forever. He's canceled like last minute 3 times or something like that. I'm sure because he ran out of mojitos or something, or the Belizean government was hot on his tail, or his dog was getting assassinated. God knows what.
The assassination thing made a little bit of sense to me. Like, I don't know. Hey, all right, perhaps I'm gullible. I'm just like, this is all fitting together, quite honestly.
I was thinking, why does the government of Belize need to frame you if they want to get you? Can't they just get you?
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was a good question to ask. Not that it would have mattered.
No. His answer would have been like, you don't understand the ins and outs of the Belizean government, do you? And I'd be like, no, fucking, do you? Clearly not.
Mr. Bain, positive Belize had a government. I didn't know. I don't know what
the only thing he wouldn't answer is when Taylor asked him about how they tortured him in Belize, and he just went, I don't want to talk about that. I just pictured him like in Rambo First Blood 2, chained to that fucking box springs, going being electrocuted by a fucking officer.
I had a joke about Miss Cat the dominatrix working for the Belizean government that I couldn't get in. It's rough.
A lot of jokes didn't get through.
No, there's not a lot of shared airtime.
Time's passed now.
yeah.
So yeah, that was very interesting. I was not worried leading up to it at all. I was thinking exactly what Kyle was. It was like, oh, it's going to be another interview on PKA. He's a goofy guy who's also very smart. I thought way more of it was a bit, and maybe that what he was doing is partially a bit.
Maybe,
and we're falling for it. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, he may have gotten on that call and went, woohoo, can you believe that? I bet they think I'm crazy. All right. It's like there was an old SNL skit about Reagan and this is when Reagan was president. And, everybody thought Reagan was a real dum-dum. And the skit starts off and the guy playing Reagan is like, well, hello, little girl. Yes, I'll sign this for you. And I hope you enjoyed coming to the Oval Office. Now, you have a nice day now. And some advisor comes in and asks him a question, and he's like, "Oh, I just don't know. Have have Ted take care of this one. I just don't know anymore about those sort of things. And he walks out of the room and he goes, all right, everyone, back to work. And then like the wall swings open and 30 advisors come in at once with like flow charts, and he's giving notes and commands to like 8 different departments of government, and like control, like handling war fronts in the Middle East and oil prices, and they're like, sir, please slow down. I've got one speed. And he's just like, I imagine he's like that. He got off the phone call and he was just like, I bet they think I'm a real goofball.
Janice, get a load of these tards. They bought it.
Yeah, that was weird. That was fucking weird. Anyway,